What must it be like to live in an area like this, where the average property value is probably like 20 million more? I mean, if it's the richest zip code in America, yeah, it's got to be like what, 20 million and up or something like that. These houses must just be not only big because, you can get a really big house in America for, you don't have to spend 20 million. So these houses must just be insane. And what else apart from the houses? Like everything about these areas must just be crazy.
This is it. That house right there is worth $55 million.
55 million for this? Are you kidding?
We're in Atherton, California.
The houses went from 500,000 50 years ago to now 10 million.
Wow.
I can show you the places that are little tiny shacks that'll sell for $3 to $4 million.
Unbelievable.
How much of this area is tech types?
They can't afford it here.
We are currently in the richest town in America. In Atherton, California, home values are on average $8 million. Now in this video, we're gonna show you some of that wealth and explain just how it got so wealthy. It raises key issues about zoning, demographics, politics, and even controversies involving Stephen Curry.
He paid what I think the price is like $8.5 million an acre. And to your point, it's because he didn't want to be around regular people.
So let's go check out Atherton, California, the richest town and zip code in America.
Wow. I cannot believe that tiny little house. I mean, it wasn't tiny, but that normal looking house was 50, did you say 55 million for that? That's insane.
Before we show you Atherton's jaw-dropping wealth and explain why things are about to change there, we first need to tell you where it is. Atherton is located about 30 miles south of San Francisco in Silicon Valley. It's one town over from Menlo Park, where Meta is based, and 2 towns over from Palo Alto, the home of Stanford and Sand Hill Road, which we will get to shortly. Within 40 miles of Atherton are 5 of the 8 most valuable companies on planet Earth: Meta, Google, Apple, Broadcom, and Nvidia.
Today, Nvidia became the first $4 trillion company.
So we found that it's extremely hard to get interviews in rich towns, but we did pass an event in Atherton. I gotta say, it feels very Atherton, and I only have been to Atherton today. How much of this area is tech types that live in a town like Atherton?
They can't afford it here.
I've read some headlines that suggest otherwise.
Yeah.
Willie Mays lived about 2 blocks from us. It's gotten a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
It's gotten a lot more
wealthier.
Wow, they bought it for $500,000. I mean, that's one hell of an increase in value.
Or $7 million.
What did you buy your house for? How much?
500,000.
500,000. 600. What year was that? 1980.
81, so a decent amount of time ago, but still.
81, and now it's probably worth.
8 million I had offered, but we don't have it yet. Awful lot of Chinese people have moved in here.
She is right. Atherton is now about a quarter Asian, making it more racially diverse than some of the other ultra-wealthy suburbs we've seen in the country.
I think you always had to have means to move here.
Yes.
Always. You always had to, I mean, whatever, 50 years ago, $500,000 was a lot of money back then. And I remember going to a function at the house, and I'm standing there in this house and looking out the backyard. I could not see the end of the backyard. It was like there was a pool, tennis court, bocce court, basketball court. And this guy next to me says, "What are you looking at?" And I said, "This backyard never ends." And
The thing is, though, unless you work in tech, one of those big companies that are close by, why do you need to be in Atherton? Like, if you don't really need to be there, I'm sure you can, there's like loads of other really nice areas that are probably not as expensive as this, or am I wrong? Is there something about Atherton that makes it, like, aside from being close to the big tech companies, that makes it desirable?
he goes, "This is my house. I bought the house behind you and I tore it down."
Eric Schmidt did the same thing here. He did 3 lots. We're driving to the home of Eric Schmidt, who's the CEO of Google and a multi-billionaire. And he's one of the more notable. Holy shit, look at how tall those trees are in front of this home. I mean,
they're trying to keep it private. They don't want anyone looking in.
it seems like a nice town and tasteful homes, nice lots.
I don't know about the tasteful homes part. I think the old ones were tasteful. The new white boxes, I don't know. The other ones had character and charm, and they were different from one another.
She was raised.
I grew up here, so well, there were 15 children and there were 15 bedrooms. So at some point somebody had to share, but not much.
Can I ask what your parents did?
Oh, my dad was in private business, but my mom had family history.
Family money, basically.
Family money. 15 beds. Not free. Not free.
No,
Okay,
that was
God, I was gonna say
That was
was
$20.
pretty nice.
Yeah, his drink was like 16.
My kids
The drink was $16 for the orangeade? What the
went to Sacred Heart Prep, which is
Yes.
in Atherton. And they were surrounded by people from venture capital. They got exposed to this.
We are now inside the gate at one of Atherton's 3 private schools. This is the Sacred Heart School. It's $57,000 for 6th through 12th grade. We convinced them to let us in.
What? So $57K a year? Jesus, man. This is insane.
Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle, one of the 5 richest people on the planet, sent his kids here. For just a half-day of preschool, it costs $34K. There you go, the lucky auction winner parking spot probably costs $50K. There's more of the campus, so that's where some of the students go to classes. They got the outdoor lockers, very California. Thank you. Have a good one, appreciate your help. All right, off we go to the Menlo School. In the town of Atherton, which just says 7,800 people, but just 2 insane schools.
Do you know what it's making me think? It's like, you know, if you somehow manage to become a millionaire, like let's say you're worth a few million, 3 million, I would call that I would say you're wealthy, right? But you couldn't afford to live here, which is insane. Like there's levels, aren't there? Like, wow, like 3 million, which I would call a really comfortable, I'd say they're a wealthy person. You could probably rent here.
And this school, by the way, costs
Maybe.
$61K for high school to go here. $61,000 per year. Yeah, that's a high school. And there's a middle school, which costs over $50K. There's not a public school that Atherton, it shares a public school with the neighboring town, but the 2 private schools are, I mean, just obscenely expensive, among the most expensive in the country. Before we show you Atherton's craziest mansions and investigate its heated zoning battle that will change the town, you first need some Atherton history. I mean, was it always this rich?
Business executives lived in Atherton. That evolved into tech executives.
John Markoff, one of the nation's top tech reporters who's writing a book on the history of Silicon Valley right now, turned out to be the perfect guy to ask about Atherton's wealth.
My uncle was once mayor of Atherton in the 1950s. I delivered newspapers to the future homes of both Larry Page and Steve Jobs, which is ironic because those 2 people, more than any 2 people on the face of the earth, changed the way news is delivered.
Yes.
I can remember when this was an aerospace community, San Francisco was a financial center. You would work in San Francisco and you would live in the peninsula.
Yes.
But there was a class of people who, some took the train and some people commuted. Lots of CEOs would live in those communities. It was CEO land.
In the 90s and 2000s, the wealth shifted from San Francisco to the Valley. That caused Atherton home values to soar.
Man, so if you bought just before, you know, the Silicon Valley big companies started becoming big, cha-ching, you probably made generational money.
All the way up to $8 million on average today. Now Atherton residents aren't commuting from San Francisco. They're commuting from Sand Hill Road. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. We went to the Bay Area, and just like we do with every area, we tried to capture it without bias or fear. The most important ups go to Sand. Please subscribe, it'll help us out. Back to Atherton.
When a big idea needs money, startups go to Sand Hill Road in Silicon Valley. Just like Wall Street means stock market, Sand Hill Road means venture capital.
All right, so right next to Atherton is one of the most important streets, no exaggeration, in the country. It's called Sand Hill Road. Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, OpenAI, all of them got their first checks on this street. It's called the Wall Street of the West. The office space here more expensive than any other street in the country, including Park Avenue, New York. Now, Coastal Ventures is where Sam Altman got a $50 million check for OpenAI. At the time, it was a nonprofit, by the way, but Vinbrod Khosla, venture capital legend, gave him that check. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the biggest fund. Sequoia manages about $100 billion, and it's invested in some of the biggest companies in the world today.
So basically, there's a lot of money on this street.
Sand Hill Road is not in Atherton. Instead, it's in the neighboring Palo Alto. There are 0 commercial buildings in Atherton, not one. They don't allow for any restaurants, no gas stations, nothing, no bars. In fact, a town center like this only has a city hall and a library because the zoning laws don't allow for any commercial zoning. It also doesn't have sidewalks. You know a town is rich when they have these pebbles on the side of the road.
There's no sidewalks, so you can't walk. This is uniquely American, I think. Like, so there's no pavement here. You call it a pavement. If you didn't want to walk, you wanted to just go. I mean, if you didn't want to drive and you wanted to like have a little walk, you can walk on the pavement or the sidewalk. So you literally can't do that here.
No, they're just taunting us.
Wow.
Now, the interesting thing about Atherton is that the homes here are not extravagant. You will see no McMansions in Atherton, and there are a number of reasons for that. One is cultural, but the other is regulatory. Their zoning laws don't allow for huge houses on small lots. In fact, it's written into it that you A, have to have a property size of at least an acre, and B, that your house can cover no more than 18% of that lot size. If you want a sense of Atherton's real estate, let me tell you about this house behind us. This house right here, 97 Fair Oaks Lane, is 1,800 square feet. It has 3 bedrooms.
So it's a pretty standard house. It's not very big, just a normal house.
2 bathrooms. You want to know how much it costs? $3 million.
Ridiculous.
All right, we're gonna play another round of the game. Guess how much this house costs. So this house right here is about 3,500 square feet.
So
We're
big.
looking at 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms.
Big house.
Not a huge lot size, but very solid. Correct answer, $5.3 million. Okay, the gate is now closed.
You know what? I can't believe I'm going to say this, but considering where it is, that's probably not too bad. What do you think?
To this home, but we're gonna take it up another level. And by the way, we saw a Porsche drive out. Guess how much this house costs right here? So it is a 5-bedroom, 6-bath, 8,580 square foot home.
Huge.
The price of this house is $12.9 million. In 1998, a year after Amazon was founded, home prices here on average cost $1 million. Today, over $8 million. This is it. That house right there is worth $55 million.
What? 55 million?
So this is the most expensive home for sale in Atherton right now. It's going for $55 million. Now, it has 15,000 square feet inside, 15 bathrooms, 9 bedrooms, and it doesn't look that, I mean, it's not like it's some huge estate. It just speaks to the insane property value. Or you could rent it for $350K a month.
Whoa! $350,000 a month? Are you mad?
Either way. There's no ultra wealthy suburb we've seen in the country with such closely guarded entrances. Characteristic of every home here is a giant gate. And in this case, you also have...
And you know there's like 5 cameras monitoring that gate. There's probably like a room in there with like a team of security guards watching the cameras. They're probably watching him right now in that car.
To have a security code there. Look at this, another one. I mean, we're not cherry picking. All right, this is a perfect corner. Security code with the gate.
Yeah, the camera's right there.
Security code with the gate. In fact, I'm starting to wonder if you can have a home that doesn't have a gate. It's the entire town. What is Atherton like?
Upscale. I taught in Belmont, and some of the people said that they didn't think undocumented workers should get an education. And I thought to myself, you want people living around you who aren't educated?
Yeah.
Really? That's your choice?
Yeah.
You would deny education to people living around you?
Yeah.
Because you educate people and then they turn out to be the Sergey Berg's,
Yeah.
and they start Google. Okay, so there's the 5 big tech companies. How many of them are immigrants started? And the 2 guys who dropped out of Stanford. And,
Larry Page and Brent.
Yeah.
To start Google.
Yeah, and they were my friend's student. He's still mad at them.
Wow. On that note, one of the Google billionaires does live in Atherton, and we decided to visit his compound. All right, we're driving to the home of Eric Schmidt, who is the CEO of Google and a multi-billionaire. And he's one of the more notable, holy shit, look at how tall those trees are in front of this home. But back to Eric Schmidt, he's one of the more notable people who live here because Google's close by. He bought up 3 consecutive lots here in Atherton. But that's not atypical for a lot of billionaires. All right, we are outside the home of Marc Andreessen. Now this home is for sale, it's for $28 million, and here's why it's interesting. Marc Andreessen is one of the many venture capital titans who lives here. He's the founder of Andreessen Horowitz, one of the 3 biggest venture capital firms in the world, but he's also a Republican donor now. He's part of the Silicon Valley moving right, but...
Dude, doesn't watching this kind of... just makes you want to be rich, right? On one hand, it's like, you know, should a house be worth 55 million, especially a house that's pretty small, not small, but not huge. But on the other hand, it's like, oh man, I want to be able to buy that.
Atherton's politics are still left. Marc Andreessen has also spoken out against the new zoning laws, saying they'll plummet the property values of him, his neighbors, and everyone else in the town.
But we're talking about the character of communities where people pay millions of dollars to live here and expect, in return, privacy and space.
It would be cutting right through the heart of Atherton with a very different sort of community.
And it's not just Republicans speaking out. Another celebrity has done the same thing, and that celebrity is Steph Curry.
Well, Curry, he slummed it here for a while.
Because right behind him, they were going to build a whole bunch of low-income housing.
Low income, that's if you made $500,000.
Well, I was gonna...
What a hypocrite.
Well, listen, first and foremost, it's nice to see Steph Curry finally playing defense. Anyone who's...
Warrior star and his wife wrote, in part, "We hesitate to add to the not in our backyard rhetoric, but we wanted to send a note before today's meeting. Safety and privacy for us and our kids continues to be our top priority and one of the biggest reasons we chose Atherton as home."
Wow, what do you think about that, man? I mean, I get it. You know, he's in a position where he wants to, you know, ensure the safety of his children. But isn't he kind of assuming that if the low-income housing gets built, he's just assuming that crime will increase? Maybe there is data that correlates to that, but I don't know, man. Like, what do you guys think?
This right here is the most controversial lot in all of Atherton. California is 49th out of 50 states in terms of housing units per capita. It takes over 800 days on average to get a new single-family house approved. It has more regulations than any other state in the country. So the state of California told every town, including Atherton, you need to build more housing, especially low-income and medium-income housing. Because Steph Curry lives around the corner, they didn't want to tear down this house and build 16 new apartments. State said no exception for Atherton. You guys need to build more low-income housing. And so now Steph Curry has a reputation as a first-team All-NBA NIMBY, not in my backyard guy. I'm coming to his rescue right now like Andre Iguodala in the 2015 finals. These are going to be high-rises and could look into his backyard. So he and I... And so far, even though it has a deadline of 2031, we saw little to no building there. The only building we saw was for new mansions, which some of the town residents don't love.
I think the old ones were tasteful. The new white boxes, I don't know.
We departed Atherton feeling extremely poor, and our next stop was the Tenderloin in San Francisco, which, let's just say, shows a different side of the Bay Area. Thank you so much.
Man, really, really interesting. Really interesting. I mean, I'd love to visit. I just don't know whether it's worth, like, if you didn't work for one of the big tech giants nearby or one of the big investment companies, you know, like the Sequoia, that type of firm, if you didn't need to be in Atherton, why spend the money to be there? Like, I suppose maybe being part of the exclusive club, the kind of people that you'll meet, you know, the networking, that's probably valuable. But is it worth spending $10 million on a 3,500 square foot house? I don't know. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.